In today's crazy world, we're constantly using things we don't need, doing things we don't like, and never really moving forward or getting the results we're hoping for in either ourselves or our animals. Are you ready for a change? Join me, Wendy Patrick, your host on Quantumly Yours, Finnessiam Health's podcast, and become empowered to take control of you and your animals' health and well-being. We're all quantumly connected, so whether you're round the corner or around the world, it doesn't matter, because we can help each other and all work together on our journeys. So come, join me, and together we'll myth bust, share advice, knowledge, truths, and suggestions to help you awaken, grow, and continue your journey to a healthier, happier life. Hi, folks. It's Wendy here again with the Quantumly Yours podcast, and tuning in to say hello. How you doing? Hoping you are enjoying our podcast so far. And be sure to please like, share, subscribe, hit all the buttons down below. Tell people about us and let them know as well that they can contact us, including yourself, through finnessiamhealth.com, through the contact us page on there, and let us know if there's certain topics that you want us to talk on, or in fact invite a guest to talk about them, or in fact if you know that you have a wonderful topic that you would like to share more information on as well, get in touch and we'll bring you on as a guest. So without further ado, you've probably realized by now that we're pretty organic here and pretty laid back, and I ramble and talk about things that I think may be of interest to you in a way to help you look at things from another angle, or with a little bit more information, or in fact, something that you may never have considered before because you've never heard someone speak on it before. And I've been a guest on a few other people's podcasts around the globe now. And a lot of times after we're done our podcasts, most of their comments will be, I've never heard anyone speak to these things before. And especially when it comes to dog grooming products and ingredients and pet shampoos. But there's so much more to me than just that. So that's one of the reasons I started doing this podcast, and also deriving from my own personal health journey. So this leads me into today's topic, and we're going to talk about bugs. So we're going to talk about worms, bugs, ticks, lice, mites, nasty, creepy, crawly things, things that fly, things that sit inside your bloodstream, and all sorts of nasty stuff. And you're going, yeah, that's fine. You're talking about our pets, aren't you, Wendy? I'm like, well, no, not completely. You see, the thing is, we actually should be doing parasite cleanses on a regular basis as well. We keep giving our dogs topicals or edibles or worry about them. We do tests for them regularly for the likes of heartworm, especially for dogs that are traveling across borders. We're doing lots of different types of preventative measures, and lots of things that are always seemingly very available and certainly very well marketed or promoted or educated about when it comes to pets and our animals. But you don't see anything advertising much about ourselves, the human body. And you're going, oh, that's because we're all clean and lovely and we don't need deworm. Don't be daft. Well, unfortunately, we do. Because the thing is if I was to die tomorrow, and I mean, you can certainly experiment with my body if you want, I won't need it. But If you locked me in in a very, 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 very tightly sealed box, preferably after I'm dead, actually, don't just come and grab me tomorrow and put me in a box. And then came back 6 months later, 8 months later, whatever, whenever you decided to think about it, me again, and open up the box, you'd find a whole lot of worms in there with me. And you go, how'd they get there? It's like, well, because I had them inside. Unless I just, did a good cleanse before I died. Oh, sorry, trying to bring the humor into this topic, folks, because it's one of those things that's gross no matter what way you look at it. Really is. Now, you can have lots of different worms. I mean, think about back if you're old enough to know that in the 70s or 80s, where you could actually quite literally go buy a tapeworm to put that inside your body in order to help you lose weight. It was a diet gimmick. Um, there was lots of things like that. And in fact, weight loss is actually a sign of a parasite infestation. But that's not something that we want to do because it's not particularly healthy. And it's not particularly a good idea because not only can they help you lose weight, they can also make you incredibly anemic, which wouldn't be a good idea. So different symptoms and things like that. I mean, how do you know if you've got worms? Let's go to that question first because they're like, oh, Wendy, you're daft. Well, one of the main doctors from Cellcore, they do very great educational seminars and things, and their basic answer is as well, find that main vein or that main just after that bump in your wrist, if you like, where you would normally take your pulse and put two fingers over the top of it and just feel there for a second. And if you can feel your pulse, then you have parasites, then you have worms or bugs or whatever. So you could do with a cleanse. Now, here's something I'm going to actually get you. I'm going to put it out there for you to do a month or 2 month challenge. And all I'm going to get you to do is to start a journal today when you're watching this. Um, and for the next full moon that would be coming up, not sure. I should have looked before I recorded this to find out when this is going out in correlation to the next full moon. We'll either be just about to have one or we've just had one past. Usually, funny, didn't take a genius to work that one out, but there you go. Bear with me. um, Either way, I want you to take a challenge. And if you do experience some weird symptoms at weird times of the month and you don't actually know what they're correlating to, I want you to start a journal. And I just want you to start writing down if you're having funny little symptoms and then note when they're happening. Are they worse around a full moon? Are they maybe if you're female, they may be linked to your menstruating cycle if you still have one of those, um, and they may just not actually affect you at all. Which in that case, you're very lucky. But if you do have parasites to some degree, I will guarantee you that they act up more around a full moon. And I'm no genius in coming up with that. I certainly didn't come up with that. But if you look at the wording of the moon, or the actual other name for the moon is the luna, or la lune, or lunar, the lunar eclipse, everything connected to the moon or to the loon, as in loony bin, that would make more sense probably across the pond to most people. But lunatic, that's all connected with the moon. Um, Look at Shelley's movies or the werewolf movies, that whenever the full moon comes, that guy transformed into a werewolf and just went absolutely crazy. And it wasn't all that far fetched, to be honest with you. Um, if you research any serial killers, if you're that way inclined, or actually follow it, you'll find a lot of these people actually acted out more, or schizophrenic episodes or anything like that acted out more during a full moon. And that's actually something serious to consider. Because if you do go off the deep end every full moon, there's a chance, a very good chance, that it's actually parasite related. So you want to do a cleanse. Yeah. And don't be worried that, oh, there's something really badly wrong with me. No, actually, there's really not much wrong with you, except that you actually do have parasites that nobody else is really telling you about, and you want some help to get rid of them. So that's exactly what we're here to help you do, as well as probably lots of other people around the globe. Um, but different types of worms that you can get. I mean, people are saying, well, but we're clean, we're healthy, we're all this. Well, do you have pets? Because that's certainly something that's zoonotic. And zoonotic means it can transfer from animal to human. No, you don't you don't have to have a very intimate relationship with your animal, and I suggest you don't. But even if the dog licks your face, if they've just been licking a certain part of their body, well, they can certainly transmit some worm eggs or even parts of a worm. If they have been on the counter and you just haven't cleaned it well enough, there can be eggs there that you can't even see. In fact, pinworm eggs are actually small enough and light enough to be carried in the air, and you can actually breathe them in as you're even just walking across the yard or down the street or wherever. So to think that we're completely clean and squeaky and lovely, that this is something that should never be discussed in humans, never be discussed amongst people at all, then I'm sorry, but we've been completely not even lied to, because I don't even remember ever hearing anyone talking about worms and parasites and people having to do cleanses ever. The only reason I'm aware of them now is because I know there's a parasite co-infection that goes along with Lyme disease. And I'm one of those lovely people who have Lyme disease or had it. I refuse to say I'm cured because that thing could flare up again, but I haven't needed to take anything for it for the past 3 months. So I'm pretty excited about that. The possibilities of that being sorted out are quite high. So I am superly excited about that. But there's lots and lots of different things involved with parasites and getting rid of them. And there's certain things that can also be existing in your system or your pet system that can stop us from actually getting rid of them. Because the worms, in essence, are actually quite easy to get rid of because they actually have some sort of a structure, and are fairly easy to clean or kill. Um, and certainly there's lots and lots of products out there from your doctors or your vets that will kill worms. But something that isn't actually looked at is, are they then exiting the system properly? And not all of the prevention is actually better than the cure in this case, or the help to get rid of them. Because some of these preventatives that we're using, for example, on our pets, which are abundantly out there, can have horrible, horrible side effects. Just go look up some of these companies. I'm not going to mention anyone. I'm not going to point fingers. I'm not going to call blame or anything. That's up to you to do some work and research and homework in that department to see what ill effects have happened from some of these very toxic substances that are being put on very close to the base of the brain, i.e., between the shoulder blades, and they actually go right into the bloodstream. So, even if you're thinking if the topicals are less harmful than the edibles, for example, that for our pet, that oh, well, you can wash off the topical if it has a reaction. No, I'm sorry, you can't. Because if you even look at the packaging, you can see that you can actually apply one of those little pipettes to your animal, and it'd still be okay to go and have it groomed within 2 hours or after 2 hours. So it's not something that can wash off. It absorbs right through the skin into the bloodstream. So there are certain things to be wary of. Do they kill worms? Generally speaking, yes, they'll kill most worms. Worms in the sense of tapeworms, flukes for the most part, unless they're really, really hidden. Um, The hookworms, pinworms, thread worms, they're known as the same thing. But there's lots and lots of other little parasites that are a lot tougher to destroy. And those little parasites are more along the likes of your Cryptosporidium, Leptospirosis, Babesia, Bartonella, um, and there's just tons and tons. And I actually test for quite a lot of those as well. Even encephalitis, all sorts of things that can be in the system that none of those topicals and indeed none of those edibles can touch. I have a dog, in fact, that um, basically started getting itchy, the usual thing. It's like, okay, that's fine. Well, it was brought to me for testing. And I was like, well, what's changed? Nothing had really changed. It had changed homes. And I was like, okay, well, what are you giving it or what are you not giving it? And in this instance, it wasn't what they were getting, it was actually what they weren't getting anymore. So when their previous house that they had been in, they were getting an edible every 3 months for parasites and worms. And I tested and found that this little guy had H. pylori. I'm like, it's very, very strange. Where did it come from? There's usually a bit of a sequence of events or something. And how come it's only showing now? So I tested. Hello. Sorry, I have a little guy coming to join me in case you hear some heavy breathing. If you're only listening to this and not watching, my little guy is at my feet. Um, so basically testing what that dog had been on before or not on now. The biggest thing was an edible that it had been on for every couple of months. And I thought, but that's supposed to look after all of that stuff. So I actually ran a few tests, energetic tests based on the whole thing as to, okay, so does this work as a preventative? Yes. And went down a whole list of questions and testing. End of the day, what I found out with it was that yes, it will kill some of your major worms that people are concerned about, but all it was doing for some of these other parasites, or in this case, the H. pylori, it was just hiding the symptoms. So there was the itchy skin. There was the little breakouts or the little bumps and hives and things like that in certain different areas that didn't actually make any sense to anything normal, if you like. So it was really quite interesting to find out that through testing that this dog actually had got it carried from its mother. And the only difference had been was that that edible had actually suppressed the symptoms for its life until it had gotten this new home. So it is actually on a parasite cleanse now, specifically for H. pylori, and it's taking a long time. It's not something, it's not going to be a one and done deal that you can run off to your vet for another tablet and it's going to make it better. Because once the effects of that tablet wears off again, then all your symptoms are going to come back. So that's the kind of thing that I absolutely love helping with. I do remote or virtual testing. You can make an appointment through finnessiamhealth.com and you can or you can come and see me if you're local, but I usually do virtual appointments all around the world and can help to identify and then see if there's a certain protocol that we can get you on. Now when it comes to people, what I'm coming back to your little scheduled 2 months um journal that you're going to be doing to see some of the symptoms that you want to keep an eye out for are nausea, lack of appetite, diarrhea, abdominal pain, weight loss, and seizures. If you have even a child or an animal that is prone to seizures, check and see if that's correlating to a full moon. So, whether you do the journal for you, whether you do it for your animal, whether you do it for your children, it doesn't matter. We all should actually look out for this issue and get rid of them. because you'll be absolutely horrified to know that, yes, there's a good chance you have them if you've got a pulse. And then again, you might be ecstatic to finally find an answer as to why you feel or act or can't get enough sleep every time there's a full moon. Some people are supercharged at a full moon because it highlights their energy. And that is also a sign of parasitic activity as well. Because those getting active in your bloodstream and having a big party may be helping you to have a big party as well. Now, at the same time, when we talk about parasites, what kills them? And what kills them most commonly? Alcohol. And that's quite possibly one of the reasons that it's not mentioned a lot that people have to do parasite cleanses because most people drink. Well, there's a lot more people that are drinking a lot less. So if you're starting to experience some of these symptoms I've mentioned, then you may want to do a little bit of testing and see if you've got any parasites. And in fact, that's something I can do remotely for you very easily as well. We've got a couple of different products here for pets, depending on what they have, or we'd work with your vet or your holistic vet and certainly point you in the right direction to get the right help that you need. So, again, you can contact me at finnessiamhealth.com. And we are practitioners, registered practitioners with Cellcore Biosciences in the US. And they actually even have a full moon kit. If you're watching, I'm just holding it up right now for the viewers. And we have a couple that we keep on hand here in Canada to save you shipping from the US. So if you want to, you can always reach out, get in touch with me. If you want to order one of those, we can ship them out to you. And we also have the Para One, which is a fantastic starter. So if you don't want to spend a whole ton of stuff, and this is a completely natural supplement. That's all it is. It's not a drug. We don't do drugs here. I don't do drugs because I'm not a doctor and I'm not stupid. So I'm not going to get into trouble and try and do something that I'm not allowed to do. And there's no reason I would ask you to trust me. I am a certified health practitioner in kinesiology and soon to be light therapy. But as a natural practitioner, we don't deal with drugs at any stretch of the imagination. So, anywho, the Para one is Pudica mimosa seed, and it's probably the most potent um, cleanser, gut scrubber out there. So, what I'm thinking or what I'm saying before was some of these topicals, some of these tablets, some of these other things that we do will kill the bugs, but a lot of times as well, you will also have residual in your system. So if you have dead bugs lying around in the bottom of your system somewhere or other, or clinging to your gut lining or your intestines, then the Para one I would highly recommend just to even use that a couple of times or for a run of a month or 2 months or around a full moon. And I'll answer more questions about that as well if anybody wants them. Um, but that's a real good thing. It helps to clean out that system and that whole digestive tract. And I'm a huge advocate for it as I love it. Because, yes, I've been on antiparasitics for the Lyme disease, but there was still some toxins in there. And the Para one has really, really helped to clean that out and got me some more energy back, which is fantastic. So, thank you, Cellcore. A few things as well, which will also, I was just touching on that briefly, that will also stop um, getting rid of parasites. But if you have any mold or heavy metal toxicity built up, then that can also trap parasites in your cells and in your mitochondria and in your tissues and in your bloodstream and all sorts of places. Brain, lungs, heart, joints, wherever they like to hide or wherever they want to hang out. So, something else as well, you can start with the likes of the Para One or the Full Moon kit. And certainly, if that's not eradicating some symptoms that you're having, you can go back and get some more testing done, whether it's a natural health practitioner, whether it's with the likes of someone like myself that can do a virtual test with you to see if they can identify if you have any mold or heavy metal toxicity and then help deal with cleaning that out. Because getting rid of that as well will also then help to release the parasites because they're holding them back. So yeah, there's a little challenge for you. There's your 2 month challenge. I want to hear from you. And I certainly, if you've already been doing this and you already know that some of those symptoms I've called out fits you to a T, hopefully this has helped someone. Hopefully it's giving an answer to someone or a chance of getting an answer for someone, because that's all I'm here for, is to try and share some information, some education, some knowledge, and to have a better and more fun time in this existence that we have with ourselves and our pets. So, again, I thank you for joining me. Please share, please subscribe, please come back and watch us again. And we will have another guest on soon. So, take care of yourselves and stay possum. Okay, folks, thanks. Have a good night. Bye.
All information, products, and topics discussed in the show are simply the host and guest's personal opinions and are for informational purposes only. None claim to offer a diagnosis, treatment, or cure. All listeners and viewers are encouraged to do their own research and consult with their own healthcare providers before changing or adapting any new protocols. Finnessiam Holistic Health, nor any of its entities, assume any responsibility or liability for any consequence relating directly or indirectly from the information contained within the podcast.